After every tragedy, people ask me for my opinion immediately, and we have them often enough that people ask me about this very regularly. And I have a rule, I call the 72-hour rule, that I want to explain to you and I want to encourage you to think about adopting yourself. I wish we'd adopt it as a national standard. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I want to explain it to you, why I do it, and then encourage you to do the same. Number one, the 72-hour rule says that after any atrocity, any major evil in our world, and I'm trying to be generic here, I'm posting this on the day after we had a mass shooting, the worst mass shooting in U.S. history in Las Vegas, Nevada, yesterday. But it's going to apply to everything moving forward and everything moving backward. So it's generic. But everybody immediately opines. I mean, already Twitter is, erupting, and every news source and then every secondary news source and everybody in the universe has an opinion. I follow the 72-hour rule, and that rule says I don't make any pronouncements about what happened, about what the lessons are and what we should do about it until 72 hours have passed. And there's a reason for that. Number one is that when any atrocity like this happens, first of all, we have to allow room to grieve. We have to allow that there are people right now who are grieving the death of their loved ones, and we have to respect that. And making pronouncements about what happened, I think, disrespects that. Number two, we don't know what happened. We can speculate, and there's tons of speculation right now about what happened in Las Vegas. Within 72 hours, some things will start to become apparent. Some things will come out. We'll be able to separate fact from fiction. We'll be able to know what was true and what wasn't true, and really start to have a decent picture of what actually went down at that time. Right now, we don't. It's too new and too fresh. So the 72-hour rule gives us time for accuracy. Number three, it gives us time for perspective, that we're not knee-jerk reacting, that we're not just responding based on our confirmation biases, and that's on all sides. So in this particular one, in the world that I swim in, a lot of folks who are part of the community of firearms owners are making pronouncements about what that means for legislation. People on the other side are doing the same, but we don't know what happened right now, and so allowing emotions to dictate our actions is unwise. And so I follow the 72-hour rule. I'd really encourage you to follow the 72-hour rule. So what do I do in those 72 hours? First of all, I pray. I take time and I spend with the Lord, and I spend with with Him, and I ask Him to set my heart right, to make sure that my spiritual fitness is strong, and that I pray for those affected and their loved ones, those in the hospital. There's hundreds that are injured in this particular incident. And so, I mean, obviously, and all the first responders, all the people who were there at the concert, all the families of those people, there are literally thousands of people that are affected by this, tens of thousands even. So we want to make sure that we're praying for them, and praying for our own heart, pray for my heart to be right before the Lord. Number two, discount all news sources for the next 72 hours. Don't believe anything you read, and I don't care where you read it. You might look at a few things here and there, but take everything with a huge grain of salt. Especially secondary news sources, or anybody who cites another news source as saying something. Whenever you hear reporters say we're getting reports that can mean anything. That's pure speculation. Rumor has it, or reports are coming in that, none of that makes any difference. When you hear police have announced, that's a little better. But again, the police are getting reports very quickly, and then they have to get things out for first responders. So for those first 72 hours, just take it all with a grain of salt. After the 72-hour window has passed, then you can go look through the news and go, okay, what was really here? What did we see? What can be verified? What's corroborated? What do we know actually happened? And then having the emotions, having gone through yourself, so passing through all the emotional phases, and then coming back to a place where you're a thinking human being, getting the right information from the right news sources. And I'm not telling you which the right ones are. Right, left, center, everybody's biased in their own way, so get a lot of different sources. Social media lets us get firsthand accounts pretty quick. So within 72 hours, we'll know some things have gone on. Then you can start to form some opinions. Then we can say all these things that could happen. And I don't know what the lessons are right now from any particular instance in that 72-hour window for concealed carriers. I don't know what the lessons are for law enforcement. I don't know what the lessons are legislatively for America. But in 72 hours, I'll start to get some understanding of what actually happened, so we can start to make some news stories, make sense, and we can start to make some understanding of what we think went down and what the lessons might be for all of us. And so I just encourage you, man. Anytime you see something like this, my first response is to pray. My second response is to go hug my family tight, tell them that I love them. You never know when your last day is going to be. Again, that's part of spiritual fitness. And then that third part is to be very discerning, very wise, and very gracious on others. I know the other side, whoever that is, isn't going to wait 72 hours. Everybody's going to politicize immediately. Everybody's going to flip out immediately. Don't participate in it. Instead, allow that to go. Every time somebody asks me a question, they go, John, what do you want to do? I say 72-hour windows in effect. I'll answer you in about 3 days. So that's my response for the next 72 hours on any atrocity. And I'd encourage you to adopt that as well, even if others don't, so that you have peace in your heart. You have that place where you have actual knowledge when you act, and you're not, flying off the handle like some others are. That's why I do the 72-hour rule in effect, and I hope you do too.